Hello and welcome back to Slippy J Sunday. And today I have another TwoSun that we're taking a look at. And these, um, for the uninitiated, might actually think that they are the ones that we were looking at last week. However, they are a little bit different. In some ways better. In some ways they took a step back. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and go over it. So we have different scale materials. Last week we took a look at some snakewood and some oxhorn for the scale materials. Here we have two different materials. We have ebony wood for this one here. For the most part, I'm going to assume that if they were actually able to get a hold of it, that it was probably sustainably sourced from somewhere. But honestly, I don't know. And ebony wood's been kind of one of those really, really rocky subjects, especially if they're being used as like tone wood from guitar manufacturing and stuff like that. I do know that Martin and Taylor do sell their scraps of different tone woods off to some knife manufacturers. A lot of times it's case, but just other knife manufacturers to be able to use them for kind of slip joints and stuff like that. I would like for that to be the case here, but honestly, don't know. So I'm not sure of the particular origin or anything like that. But as far as I can tell, it is indeed ebony wood, not just dyed other wood or something like that, which is a very stable wood, really kind of difficult to work with, I guess, from a manufacturing standpoint, but it's all right. And still, yeah, very, very stable. You shouldn't really have any problems with stresses or stuff like that throughout time, and these things do appear to be stabilized. That means they are kind of kiln dried over a very, very long time, and then under pressure, they're impregnated with some um, resin of some sort, which really does help. They're being able to be viable and not have warping problems and stuff like that over the years. Stuff that in general snakewood actually doesn't need, and depending on the ebony wood, well, no. Ebony wood, you kind of want that anyway, so never mind. I was getting that mixed up with different wood in my head. But still, there we go with that. So there's the ebony wood. And then we got this one here, which is in abalone, which, if you're not familiar, it's a gigantic shellfish sort of thing. Well, yeah, it's got a giant shell. It's not a bivalve like a clam. It's just like a large big old guy there. Kind of endangered in general as a species, which makes it difficult for people to get a hold of it on a mass market for food consumption and stuff like that. I guess here in the States, depending on your location, you can manually dive without extra apparatus and stuff like that to harvest your own and stuff like that. Because that's not commercially viable at all. So you can definitely do that way. But yeah, either way, on the inside of the shell, there's kind of a veneer that has all of this sort of stuff. So this is natural. However, the shells don't make that all the way through. It is just kind of a veneer. So, as we can see here, most of what we actually have for the handle scales on this is acrylic. That's perfectly fine. It's nice and polished up, so we get to see all the intricacies there. Something that's also really, really popular to do with abalone is use it for fretboard markers for guitars and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess another musical instrument kind of thing there. And I guess some people will also do it on a trim around the outside of a guitar. An old carving acoustic that I have has that kind of treatment on both of those. That's kind of what made me think to mention it there. But there we go. Abalone is really, really tasty though. But it is like essentially, not in flavor, but it is essentially just like a gigantic clam. So they can be massively tough. So you either have to tenderize the crap out of them beforehand, or slice it super thin and sear it off super, super quick, and then go ahead and eat it. Otherwise, it's gonna feel like you're chewing on on a rubber bouncy ball forever. But either way, let's get back to the knives here. Both of these guys do have that thicker cladding going on here. Very tactile experience rather than the smoother older version that this one in particular uses, and a lot of folks in the industry use as well. These ones, holding them like this, we can easily see the core steel running down these guys here. It does end up not showing as well back there. That's because they've actually ground it a little bit, but it is still there. And it's something that does remind me a bit of, this is kind of random, but I did have it around. This Alvin guy, this is a titanium frame lock here. But we can also see that in this particular case. This is technically the older way of doing the Damascus cladding. I guess this type right here is a little bit more modern interpretation of that in general. Both of them are perfectly fine. I guess some of the really early examples of these guys could have problems with delamination here at the top because it's not fully enclosed like these guys. But, well, for one, these are slip joints, so that's definitely not going to happen. But still, I mean, in general, knife manufacturing processes have gotten much more precise over the last, I don't know, 40 to 70 years. So if you did want to do that, like something like this Alvin knife, you really don't have any risk of delamination going on there. Still, just like last week, do I know the core steel on these knives in particular? No, I have no idea. They've never really released that information. To me, it acts quite a bit like 9CR 18 MOV, the same kind of stuff that Civivi uses in theirs. I don't believe that it is more carbon steel-esque, as I haven't really had any kind of corrosion sort of issues with these guys. And I have done some stuff like peel some oranges or cut some apples and not wash them in a very timely manner to get those acids off, and really haven't had any problems. That's why it makes me think that it's most likely going to be 9CR based, which is perfectly fine. Let's see. So we got steel liners on both of these, fairly thick. And we do have that brass lanyard tube again. This is how basically all of them come. We got some nice stiff leather with a couple of knots there and a brass bead. For the most part, I find it absolutely obnoxious, which is why you're seeing that I've removed them from basically all of these other three. But I've kept this one here just kind of for reference. And something that can be a problem is if this is up in the way, it can actually catch either on the bead, or if that wasn't in the way, the knot of, what your choice, whether it's this leather, if you do it out of paracord or something like that after the fact or something like that. Yeah, just something that ends up not being super great for me, so that's why I end up taking them off. I keep the material around in case I need to put them back, or if I ever do sell these guys off, then they will definitely come with all of that extra crap there. But yeah, still, just like last week, these little brass, we'll call them caps or whatever. It's not really a bolster because we do have full steel liners there, but yep, they still basically have a bit of scuffs and stuff like that right out of the box. As a lot of their 14C 28N with satin finish also kind of suffer from. A little bit unfortunate, but hey, these things are also much more affordable than these kind of materials will get you from maybe a manufacturer that has a little bit less, probably like metal fragments or something like that around on some of their machinery to keep them nice and more polished up. But of course, it is brass, so it's going to get scuffed up pretty soon after you toss it in your pocket a couple of times. So to me, I don't particularly care. But if someone's looking for absolute pristine collection quality stuff, basically nothing from TwoSun's really going to fit that bill. So, keep that in mind. These guys still, just like the other ones, have a very, very lazy half stop here. However, they did take a step back in that, well, that flashlight's just going to give me problems. Of course it will. Let's get this one. Yeah, they're missing that pin down the middle there. That this one in particular with the ox horn kind of added. And as such, these things, just like the original ones of these, even though these are much, much newer designs, still have blade wrap. And it's not something that is easily able to be dealt with because they don't have the pins there, which means just kind of pushing it while it's in the pocket will force that spring up. Which, unfortunately for me, if I do carry something like that I can do that with in my pocket, I'm a fidget with that all day long, and that's just going to ruin the tip there. Not the absolute tip, but right behind it. So that's really unfortunate. So, I mean, you can, of course, mitigate that by knowing about that and then knowing that once you're at the half stop, very carefully putting that back. But still, something that I honestly have no idea why they made that mistake with these. When they'd already made these, had plenty of people have that problem with it, and then mitigated it with the newer version of this. And why they didn't use that same idea over here, I have no idea. But to this day, they haven't really fixed that by adding that stop pin in there. I would assume that, I mean, they have the room for it in that little tiny area there for it. But yeah, so that is quite unfortunate. It's not unheard of in the industry for blade wrap on some of these guys, but stuff that's very, very easily mitigated by just that single pin there. So it is a little disappointing. But these guys are a bit larger than the other ones there. Let's see. How about if we go ahead and do some measurements there? Where's my calipers? Here we are. Close this guy up. Oh, I'm on inches. I might as well do the blade length first then. And then we got 2.99 essentially. So a little bit larger than these guys, as we can see here. But they are a bit taller, just a little bit more stout, I guess, of a blade design. Let's see, what do we got for blade stock thickness here? 2.8 rather than 2.6 of the other guys. So yeah, they are a little bit more rough and tumble. But I mean, still, they're a slip joint. You probably, unless it's the only thing you got, want to do some super crazy hard work on these guys, or with these guys here. But there you go. Let's do a couple of blade size comparisons. I'll get the one with the lanyard out of the way here. And yeah, here's the real steel Luna up against it. And the Range Buster, I think this is a Range Buster Junior kind of size there. But yeah, very, very similar, as it was kind of last week with the other ones. And it's going to make this little Cold Steel Lucky one look quite dinky and demure. But yeah, there we go. Interesting. It's a different kind of traditional one than the ones we'd taken a look at last week. Still has that blade wrap problem that generally won't go away because of the ability to push back on the spring there. So something that if you do want to get one of these and carry it around on the rigs, then definitely make sure that you close them carefully and don't be squeeze fidgeting with them in your pockets, unless you, of course, don't care about that that first quarter inch worth of blade on it. So there you go. There's the what are these? The TS359. I think I forgot to do the weight on these things. 3.4 ounces essentially for the Abalone, and a little bit less for the Ebony wood, which is actually interesting that the acrylic actually weighs as much as it does on these guys. And let's see, for grams, we get a little over 96 and a little over 90.5 for the Ebony one. But alrighty, that's basically what we got going on here. I don't really have anything else to say, so we'll leave it at that. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.